principles of a just divestment. So at the end, our end goal was to write up one document that can really guide the different divestment campaigns going on around the state. We heard a lot from Princeton and Rutgers divestment, as well as from Divest New Jersey, so talking about different levels of divestment from the state level, public interests, to like private universities. In the end, the principles that we all drafted together included just divestment needs to include direct action that can include like mass grassroots participation. We want it to really focus on community connection and be inclusive, and really be guided on imagining a world where no communities are being left behind. Divestment, we're a little bit split on this one. We couldn't think of a single principle, but divestment can be a means to an end, and we defined two different approaches where you can be like a practical divester, where I don't care what you do, fossil fuel company, just divest. Whoever you are, just divest. You can be a terrible person otherwise. Or we want you to be morally principled and like a moral reformation type of divestment. So those are two different approaches, and people can disagree within a movement. That's okay. We wanted transparency in investments, and we also wanted better sustainability metrics, so not just using profit as a metric. And related to that, we wanted to question profit, investments, and what we consider valuable from our businesses and also like our public interest. We wanted to also make sure to be regularly checking in with our own intentions, and because we had a lot of different groups represented, that was good because you had outside points of view who were reflecting on like the state campaign, etc. We want regular reviews for existing policies, and to also spend time looking at what other people are doing in different groups in different parts of the world, since divestment is a global approach and a global issue. And we want for whatever institutions are divesting to recognize that meeting their fiduciary responsibility, which is often used as an excuse not to divest, means investing in the future and means recognizing the harm that climate change will do to us all. So, thank you.
Thanks so much, Spawn. I also want to recognize, in addition to Spawn, Mira, and Isabella, and the rest of the crew who organized and planned the divestment workshop, who joined our Friday planning committee meetings and were deeply invested in this event being so successful. So thank you, Mira, Spawn, and everyone who was a part of that. So now we are going to continue with the debrief. We have two more workshops to hear from. I want to introduce Dave Pringle. Dave is a leader with the Empower New Jersey Coalition. It's New Jersey's largest climate coalition. Dave's been there since the founding. He's continues to play a key leadership role, and we're just grateful that Dave is here and can help lead this workshop. So Dave.
Nikki, John Asper, and I helped run the Squeaky Clean and Stopping, or Winning Squeaky Clean and Stopping Dirty Gas Legislation Workshop. I'd like to take credit for Squeaky Clean, but that would be wrong. Maria Lopez Nunez, the organizing director at Underground Community Corporation, came up with that title, and we've been running with it ever since. We talked about what is clean, all the obvious stuff: solar, wind, small hydro, geothermal, efficiency, conservation, etc. We had some interesting debate. There's a diversity of opinion about nuclear and large hydro and such. And also we talked about what's dirty and greenwashing, all our favorite terms like clean coal and renewable natural gas and low carbon fuel standard and net zero and carbon trading and waste to energy and resource recovery and carbon capture, and all these things are just wonderful and are going to save the world. Except they're not, because they're all false climate solutions. Folks are looking for a silver bullet. There isn't one. It requires hard work, campaigning, policy-wise, etc. There is a bunch of legislation moving or attempting to be moved in the state legislature. We focused on 3 bills. A good bill, or a getting better bill, the Clean Energy Standard Bill, which would require 100% of states' electricity be quote-unquote clean, as long as the definition of clean is good, by 2035. And that bill's moving and making some progress with it, and stopping 2 very bad bills: the Renewable Natural Gas Bill and the Low Carbon Fuel Standard Bill. The RNG bill, we've done a very effective job in the last couple of years. It still exists, but it's on life support, and we're going to make sure it stays that way. Or maybe it doesn't get any better than life. And the just introduced low carbon fuel standard bill, which is basically a gimmick to pretend that gasoline burning stuff for cars is somehow clean or less dirty. That bill is just starting to move, and we're really going to be bumping up a campaign on that. If you're in the workshop, you should have gotten one-pagers on each of the 3 bills. And if you didn't and you want them, assume it's on the website or will be, or email us and we'll get you the information. We have done a terrific job getting the clean energy bill in a strong position, a terrific job boxing in the RNG bill, and we're going to do the same thing with low carbon. And it's because of the great effort. I'm going to go on a limb here. We did in the workshop. Raise your hand if you get our moratorium Mondays and take action on them.
It's from Howard, New Jersey. Yeah.
About right. Raise your hand if you came to any of the lobby days in the last couple months. All right. One in particular, or actually there were 2 in particular. We had 2 huge ones, 3 days apart. Organizing 101 is you don't do that. But we needed to do it, and you guys all came through, and it was terrific. The last one was so great that we were around for 4 hours. We're exhausted. We did a debrief. Normally everybody forgets and they leave, and more than 3/4 of the folks stayed and didn't want to leave the debrief because we're making a difference, and it's because of all the great work that all of you do. So pat yourself on the back, and we're going to keep doing that this spring. And you know where to find us, and we know where to find you.
Let's give another round for Dave. And just to brag on Dave a little bit more, I don't think there's anyone else in Empower New Jersey who's done more to try and build trusting relationships with our environmental justice allies. So I wanted to recognize that as central to what we're talking about here today, and thank Dave for his commitment and deft work. And I also want to thank just the other Empower New Jersey Coordinating Committee member organizations, in addition to all our co-sponsors. These groups, Clean Water Action, Environment New Jersey, Blue Wave New Jersey, Don't Gas the Meadowlands, am I missing any? And Delaware Riverkeeper Network. We've been in this really close, 5 to 6 year working partnership, and they are essential to all of the work that we're doing together in the state. So wanted to make sure I recognize those groups and thank them for all their contributions, including for today. And then lastly, our 3rd and final workshop was Uniting the Front Lines, and excited to announce our superstar organizer from North Jersey, Sam DeFalco, to give that debrief.
Really great conversation here in this room with 4 leaders and organizers from frontline fights across the state. We had Janice from down in Salem City, who Janice led the really important work to fight the corporate takeover of her city's water and to keep water in the public hands and affordable. Really incredible work in a in a part of our state that's very rural. So a lot of challenges and a lot of opportunities were shared. We also had Chloe from the Ironbound Community Corporation, who talked about the work to stop the PBSC gas plant proposed in Newark. If built, this would be the 4th gas plant in the Ironbound, in a city that is already overburdened with harmful air pollution. We also heard from Ginny, who is one of the leaders of the Turnpike Trap Coalition and Hudson County Safe Streets, about the work to fight the proposal for an $11 billion expansion of the Turnpike extension, which runs across the North Bay Bridge into Hudson County, which will just increase truck and car traffic on the road, making the roads less safe for everyone. And Ginny also is a board member of Hudson County Complete Streets, and talked about some of the work that they were doing to make our roads work for everyone and to move us away from the car economy. And lastly, we heard from Owl of the Ramapo Lenape Nation. Owl is working on fighting a major new pipeline expansion here in the Northeast called Project Maple that's moving ahead, which will send more frack gas from Pennsylvania across our state up through his community's lands, the unceded territory of the Ramapo Lenape, and up, the pipeline will run up through Massachusetts, presumably at some point will be used to export gas overseas. So these are all really critical fights, and we talked about some of the ways that there are opportunities, challenges, and lessons in each of them. We took some notes here on the board. You're welcome to come up and see them and take a photo of it for your reference, but yeah, just wanted to share some of the challenges and opportunities. Yeah, some of the challenges we heard were folks not getting involved in issues that they don't feel like affects them, or issues that they sort of see elsewhere, and just the inaccessibility sometimes of government decision making, where meetings are scheduled during the workday, only in person, and it's hard to get involved. But some of the opportunities that came out were, not just fighting a project, but advocating for creative alternatives, and aligning on a shared goal and visions, throughout our movement. And some of the important lessons that came out were, not doing it alone. If you're part of a frontline community, frontline communities historically have faced the brunt of the pollution burden in our state and the brunt of environmental injustice. It's up to all of us to take action and work together in solidarity to fight these projects, working in coalition and taking strength from community, because this work is hard, but we need to be in it for the long term. I also wanted to briefly uplift again the March for Clean Air, which is a march in Newark next week, a week from today, on April 20th at noon in the Ironbound. This is led by the Ironbound Community Corporation as a means to take action and fight the Passaic Valley Sewerage Commission, and for us to be in solidarity with the Ironbound community. And we're all in touch now because everyone's here. We're all connected by email now. We'll have more actions to share out in the future on how we can support these other fights.
Thank you, Sam. And yeah, I think that wraps the debrief. So I want to make one last plug for those of us who raised our hands when we were all excited about building our movement and committing to go to even just one community outreach event this spring. If you haven't yet signed, just added your name to the sheet so we can have an organizer follow up with you to coordinate an event that works with your schedule and that's near you. Please do so. It's a clipboard with a yellow piece of paper that I believe Linda Powell has now, and we'll circulate it through the group. But with that, that concludes our debrief, and I'm going to pass it back to our MC, Charlie.
How are you all feeling now? This has been an amazing day so far. I hope that you're all feeling a little more connected with one another, a little more educated and learned, and hopefully ready to step into action, because that's what we need to do to win. Going up against the fossil fuel industry is not easy, but we've proven over the past year that we can win. Just yesterday, the Nessie Pipeline. That's a huge win, and it wouldn't have happened without the years of organizing and movement building. So we need to continue that work, because literally our lives are on the line. So I thank every one of you for being here. The day is not done yet. You are going to have 3 opportunities over the course of the next 50 minutes to hear from some phenomenal leaders in our movement. We're going to have more informal talks. So first I want to highlight Anicia Steininger from the LCBNJ. Raise your hand. Anicia is going to be hosting a conversation, an activity on how to cope with eco-anxiety and climate grief, and that's going to be in room 115. So if you're interested in that, program, head on over to room 115. I also want to highlight the amazing Paula Rogovin, who just got back from Scotland, and she has some interesting findings about the unjust transition that occurred in that nation when the coal industry was shut down abruptly in 1986, I believe. And so Paula's got photos and some great information to share on that. And Paula, just raise your hand so everybody can come find you. And also, fresh out of jail, we've got Ted Glick and Jane. You might have read Ted and Jane, amazing leaders in our movement for decades, were getting in the way of that Mountain Valley pipeline. And they actually we're so glad they were able to be back here with us today. And they're going to talk about that organizing effort, that activism, and their recent protest working to stop that horrible project. And yeah, so I think everybody can just sort of find their place. You can also feel free to have conversations among yourself, visit the tables, get to know one another, and please enjoy this space. We put this together for all of you, and we couldn't have done it without you. We do this because of you, and all of our power is multiplied collectively. So I think this was an amazing day. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope we'll see you again on the 20th in the Ironbound, on the 22nd on College Avenue, and we'll see you throughout the movement as we continue these efforts. And please make sure you sign up with John to help come to some of these Earth Day events. Jane, do you have something to say?
Yeah, if you want to hear about why we got arrested and how we got arrested in West Virginia this past week, we'll explain it briefly. And I guess we'll just sit somewhere.
Yeah, you can just grab a corner of the room and just.
You're not violating your bail conditions.
So again, thank you to all of you for coming. This really is something that only works when we come together. So the different groups that came together today, I'm so happy you all showed up, and I'm grateful to each and every one of you who helped make it possible. Thanks again.